Let's get ready to rumble.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. Happy 1st of June. And welcome to our. Is this, guys, do you think this is our third or our second official roundtable? Because our first stream was I would say second, because our third stream was our kind of like our, launch party. So we'll just call it the second. So welcome to our second RPG Network Roundtable. I'm David, and all these beautiful people behind me or beside me are all part of the network. And we have a new face this month. Have old Wormfood down there just got a shnikey grin on his face. I know he wants to say something, but welcome, Remedies. Welcome to the network, Remedies, and welcome. So what's going on, everybody? Bell, Drake, Marbanya, Rob, Worm, Remedies. I can think of something with Remedies, but I'm not going to say it.
Let her tell you the story.
Yeah,
what's behind the name Remedies, Robin?
There you go. That's a good story to start us off. Let's hear it.
It's not that good of a story, but I
think I might know where it's going there.
I used to play like MMOs, and I was always a healer in World of Warcraft specifically. And I had a character named Remedy, and my friends were like, "Remedy's nuts," and then so I just changed her name. And yeah, that's the story.
I knew that's where that was going. I think everybody took a break. I took a long break because of EverQuest, Dark Age of Camelot, and World of Warcraft and Rift, and Lord of the Rings Online. So, yeah, that was my kind of venture with MMOs for a long time. All right, everybody.
Yeah, Mark Magny was telling us his story about Lord of the Rings.
No, don't go there, Worm. No, that's not for everybody to hear.
I don't know if any of you guys have ever listened to Howard Stern, but he used to have some fun with Lord of the Rings back in the day. Lord of the A-Rings. But anyway.
I listened to Howard Stern from 1994 through about 2009 all the time, and then periodically since then, since he's on satellite. I sometimes have satellite and sometimes I don't.
Yeah. So you know what skit I'm talking about.
Yes.
So hey everybody, what's going on? And why don't we kind of go around and give everybody the monthly update on what we got going on, our streams, our games, if we're playing in any, if we're running any. So we'll kind of go in order. So Belle, you're first, so you can go ahead and let everybody know what you got going on.
Well,
Belle's sitting in the castle over there. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I'm playing in one of Dave's games on the Sunday Beck Me game. Yeah, that's about it that you all will see.
Yeah. Plan on running any games in the future or anything?
Not anytime soon. Hopefully, we'll be playing in a new game coming up perhaps on a Monday.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm not even going to say
She's
anything.
super excited. That was awesome.
Super.
I'll wait my
Super
turn, but I am excited.
Super. Drake, what do you got going on, bud?
Well, Tuesdays I'm running Call from the Deep on my channel, and on Rob's channel I run Descent into Avernus, and on Sundays I'm running my Tabletop guys that I'm not streaming through Ghost of Saltmarsh.
How are those games
And
going?
then I play in 2 other games.
Damn, you guys make me look bad, man.
Slacker.
I am trying to, but I'll announce that later on when I'm last. Marbanya, what say you? What's been going on in your world?
I'm streaming one game right now. It's Thursday Night Deadlands, and I think just about everybody here comes creeping by the channel every now and then and hanging out with us. Drake is in that game. I'm also playing with Rob in Drake's game on Rob's channel on Saturday nights. Assholes go to hell, basically. I am in the Call from the Deep, which that one's about to wrap up, isn't it? I mean, we're getting I think you said 80%, Drake, something like that at one time. We're finishing, Drake and I playing a guy's Curse of Strahd on Friday night, and that one we walked into Ravenloft last week, so that one's coming to a climax. Lots of stuff going on. I'm supposed to be in a game right now, but I said, I'll be about an hour late.
Oh,
Yeah, I was watching that. They just killed your guy.
you're so
Yeah, I
sweet.
I didn't even get to play him. I just created him about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, he tripped and fell into a big cavern.
Remedies, tell us a little bit about what you got going on, games, etc.
So I don't stream any games at the moment. I do stream other Fantasy Grounds things like module making and world building. But I do run a game on Saturday nights with some very longtime friends, and we're doing Tomb of Annihilation right now. So it's super fun. And then coming soon, I'll be doing an all-ladies cast 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons game on Mondays this summer.
I was not invited.
Because you're not a lady.
Well, thank you for saying that, but I consider myself a lady.
What if I know a lady that would, or not a lady, that would throw on a blonde wig and speak like a lady? I wonder if that.
That's
would be...
Rob. He's got B cups anyway. He said that.
Yeah, I got nice B cups. Yeah, totally.
You don't get free Bud Light, so it doesn't work that way.
I will take your offer into consideration.
No.
Rob, what say you, man? What do you got going on? What have you had going on?
On my channel, I guess I'll start with Wednesday since Robin completely forgot about it. On Wednesdays,
You do. That's your thing, so you
but
do
he's
it.
asking, what do you do?
Right. Okay.
So
My bad.
Wednesdays, Robin and I have a show on my channel, which is called Round Robin because Rob and Robin. It's so fun. And then Friday, I have a game that's been going on since December 18, and it's we're playing this what's it called? A Dungeon of the Mad Mage. I forgot because it's been a year and a half. Dungeon of the Mad Mage, and then Saturday you heard, of course, I'm in Assholes Go to Hell with Marbanya and Drake, and then Sunday we always have the All Things Fantasy Grounds talk show where we showcase things and have guests and do that kind of stuff. And then I'd like to announce that as of tomorrow, 5e Pickup Games is back. So anybody can come by the channel and play Combat for 2 hours every Tuesday. And we're doing that at least through the end of July. And if it goes well, we'll continue it after that.
Dun 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 dun. The big announcement. TBA.
That's right.
Wow. I did one shots for a couple of years, and I'll tell you, man, that is just, I don't know how you guys do it.
So 5e Pickup Games, it took a long time to get there because it originally started out as like with a story and with the whole thing, and it just became this huge overgrown nightmare. And then it was, some people would show up, some people wouldn't, and but after like 4 years now, I've boiled down the rules and I've got it all to a perfect science. And all we really do is do 2 hours of combat. We just do 3 or 4 encounters, and that's it. But then people get to build up points and get magic items and level their characters, and they can play up to 4 different characters and come back in this.
Oh my gosh!
That
sounds like a hot mess.
In the campaign, I have, I think, 187 characters are in that campaign file. Just because, so like I think, and I have a spreadsheet because you guys know me with the spreadsheets. But I have everybody's stats, how many times they played. It's all on YouTube. There's like 117 episodes of it so far, or whatever it is. So yeah.
Hats off to you, Rob. I did that for a couple years, and that was with another VTT. I could just imagine trying to do that with Fantasy Grounds or Unity or something like that. Oh, it would be like this.
Well, and that's why it's gone. That's why it's gone on hiatus now and again. I mean, we haven't done it since I think it's almost been a year since we've been doing it. But
So do you have the problem that Dave used to have where people would show up and they're like, I don't have a mic or I don't have a camera, but I'll just type exactly what I want my character to do.
I
no,
thought
because
this was a text-based game, Wormfood.
Like I said,
Like
I said, we boiled it down to a science, and there's an actual rule in the rules about the game that says we're here to play Dungeons and Dragons, not give a Discord seminar. So if you show up without the proper shit, you're just out. And we very nicely say, join us next time.
Yeah. That's what I actually ended up doing. I had to, go with you and go the route that you were going and have to list all my 10 commandments and everything, and it was just like nobody read them anyway, and it was
but once you started crying on stream, though, remember that you started crying on the stream that time.
Yeah, a couple
you got
times.
A total different clientele after that. They're just people that pitied you.
Pretty much. That was pretty much it. So, Wormfood, what do you got going on?
Oh man, Dave, I cannot believe the excitement that's happening over here in the Wormverse.
I can see that in your world over there. I mean, the crowd is
awesome.
going absolutely wild.
Oh yeah. We have done our first session 0 of our superheroes role playing game Icons, and it's out on YouTube. But it is fantastic. So the hook of this game is that all the main superheroes that are super powerful, they're basically all kidnapped by aliens, and only the losers are left. So our people created our characters that were incredible losers. So we have Vey plays a character that's basically a ghost. She was astral projecting, but then her character died. So she's just a ghost. She can't affect anything other than possess people from the astral realm. And then we have Sandman, whose character is pretty sweet. He's like this super deluxe old guy that knows Kung Fu. And then he always complains about stuff because he's old. He's like everybody's granddad. So he's like, "You kids, get off my lawn!" And he's like he'd be adventuring, but Matlock.
Sounds like the return of Pappy.
Yeah, that's right. It was awesome. And then the final character is like a little teenager that can control people's emotions, run by Misty, and she's had a teenager. It's like a real emotional girl. So yeah, it's pretty sweet.
I like that.
She's
Especially
a teenager. She's an emotional girl.
Yeah, it's like it's like she'll sit there and she'll like get angry or frustrated, and then she can project that emotion out on people and then force them to be angry and frustrated. So that's her power.
I like Vey's power. Incorporate.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, so that's every Saturday at about 7:00 Central. So come down. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, and you got all your players and everything you needed and all that good
Oh,
stuff.
Dave, there's no players. It's just me. No, I'm just joking. Yeah, everybody's
like
good
me.
to go.
Don't have any friends.
I play 5 characters.
That's right. But if you've seen some of the stuff that I do, I've created a bunch of animated characters that are for each of the people controlled by FaceRig. They're all of our characters. So, yeah, we're finishing that. I posted them in the chat if you wanted to see that in the stream thing. Gives you an idea of the mocks that we're doing. So all these people will be animated hopefully by Saturday, but if not, then they'll be ready next time.
Right on. Just like remember Mick Dundee when he says, "Oi, that's not a knife. This is a real knife." That's what I was doing with this book. That's not a book. This is a book.
Oh, and I wasn't showing a book. I wasn't showing a book just to show it. I was feigning that I was reading during Worm's story. That's what I was doing.
Because it was Worm story time.
Rob, we all know
was,
you can't read, so.
Well, right. That's why I said feigning.
Oh,
I can't
looking
read.
at
I don't
that
fucking
word.
know how to read shit.
I was looking at the illustrations.
Drake had his dog while he was petting his dog, so I was petting Pete.
When you were petting your doll there,
Pete.
Rob, I actually thought that was a real dog at first.
Did you really?
Just for a split second, and I'm like, what is he doing?
I had never seen his emotional support teddy bear before.
Oh, don't get me started on emotional support animals. I don't fucking believe in that shit.
My hug me doll. Oh.
I am an atheist of emotional support animals. I don't believe they should be a thing.
Well,
At
I
least
would.
not.
Animals are just for eating.
At least not on the
Okay if
airplane
they
next
stay
to
at
me.
home. If your emotional support dog is at home, I'm fine with it.
Oh
But I
yeah,
don't
no, I'm
want
talking about like
it at the deli
right.
counter when I'm getting my liverwurst. Just no dog.
You especially don't want it on the airplane seat next to you. Trust me.
Well, that's the emotional support peacock. I like to bring that thing up.
Unless you actually bought an airplane seat for that doll, yeah, I would.
Even then.
Yeah.
No, not dolls, Dave. They bring like fucking ferrets and poodles and shit.
Yeah. Little Fifi.
It's just an excuse to. Most people don't really require them. They just don't want to put their animal in the storage.
I'm gonna get me an emotional support alligator. People won't sit next to me then. I'll have an empty seat.
You can give it a liverwurst sandwich. Were you kidding about liverwurst, or were you serious? Because my mom
Totally,
absolutely
yeah.
loves liverwurst.
Yeah.
I like Braunschweiger.
Braunschweiger.
I think
yeah.
I would just starve before I would eat it.
No,
Lips and
Braunschweiger
assholes.
on rye bread with mustard and onion.
And aged Swiss
God.
cheese.
Oh yeah, Ed Swiss.
I try to not eat pumps and filters, even if they're pureed.
You know, I had a neighbor, and back to Florida stories, had a neighbor that decided he wanted to get peacocks, and he lived
Florida
back behind
man.
us. And then those son of a bitches would just scream all night, the first couple nights.
The neighbors
And,
or the peacocks?
No, well, the neighbors were screaming too. So,
I'm going to say you probably want to check on your neighbors when they're screaming all through the night. Probably
well,
being
I
eaten
used
by
to stand
peacocks.
I'd stand out on the back porch, and I would scream at these peacocks like 1 o'clock in the morning just to get them all riled up. He had them about 2 or 3 weeks and sold the son of a bitches. He's like, I can't deal with it.
Loud.
They're screaming all the time. Well, it's because I'm screaming back at them.
Peacock! Peacock!
I have
they're
some
loud.
dogs that are next door that keep me up all the time, and I'll tell you what, I'm in Texas. We're pro firearm, and I'm like, man, if I only just had the nerve to go out there and
Dave, don't go there.
pop off 3.
Don't go there.
No,
I'll tell you what you can do though, Dave, is you can call the cops every single night.
yeah, I don't. I mean, those things are right out by my window, and I sometimes I just want to cry. Sometimes I admit it.
Oh,
I just want
doggy
to go to sleep.
tranquilizers and hot dogs works great.
Yeah.
Just put some, just stuff something in your ears and go right to bed, Dave.
Your guys' solutions to all these problems are just so whack.
Well,
Hot
what's yours?
dogs and earplugs. You got to call the cops, dude.
Oh, the
cops
cops, they're
will
too
come out,
busy.
they won't do
The cops are
anything.
too busy attacking
The
people.
cops will come out, they won't do anything. The cops will come out, they won't do anything. The cops will come out, they won't do anything. And then either the people that own the dogs or the cops will get really fucking sick of that, and then the dogs will go away. You trust me.
Or you could have a protest at your neighbor's house. That'll bring the cops immediately.
A protest.
Yeah, you could.
I'm not thinking that.
Again, I go back to my statement about your guys' solutions. I know you're joking, but
No, that's no.
barking dogs next to my house is not a fucking thing that happens in my life. I fucking take care of that shit.
Yours is the most logical thing to do, Rob. That's for sure.
Well, and
Well-
I speak from experience.
Do you also yell at the kids when they walk across the edge of your lawn at school?
Get off my lawn, you little bastard.
Hey, you kids! Get off my lawn! I'm
No,
right in the
no
middle of
kids in my
Matlock.
neighborhood, Warm. There's no kids here. I've called the cops. There's no
Oh.
kids.
We've all been beaten.
They've all been removed.
Nice.
This kid keeps riding a tricycle up and down my sidewalk.
He's nowhere near me, but I can hear him. I can hear him breathe.
So I'll tell you what I've had going on the last month. We've been playing our basic Dungeons and Dragons game. I think we're about 5 or 6 sessions in. Let's see. That's on Sunday. On Saturday, last Saturday, just started my Pathfinder 2 campaign, so that's good. That's nice to get going. And then I also had Mr. James Ward and Mr. Bruce Hurd on my channel, Icons of TSR. And it was nice to have them on talking about TSR and what they've been doing and, the last 30 plus years, 30, 40 years of gaming. So that was those were fun times, and more of the same this month. So we talked about last month. We had because we try to keep this at about an hour long, and we decided that we were going to talk about our worst GMing experience that we've ever had. So I think if we could all go around the round table here and the virtual round table and give that story, and you can also give us a story of the best player experience you had as well. So we'll kind of start again at the top and let Belle go.
Well, I've never GM'd, but the worst game I played in, I
It's
had
your
been
game,
playing-
David.
Yeah, no. It was a game where I was playing with a bunch of college boys, and I got tired of seeing them eating cookies and candy bars and potato chips for dinner. So I started bringing casseroles every game. Well, that was around the time the bitch make me a sandwich craze, and they started pulling that during game.
No.
Yeah. So my character, of course, was a rogue, and she specialized in poisons. So one of the days I'd had up to there of bitch make me a sandwich, and I slipped a note to the DM, and he looked at it and went, "Oh God." And he said, "Okay, everybody roll perception checks." They all failed. I rolled just for the hell of it. He said, "You need to roll me a performance." Rolled nat 20. It's like, oh shit. So then he asked each one of them, "So what are you?" I said, "Okay, so I've served dinner to everyone." And he said, "Okay, is everybody eating?" And they're like, "Yeah." And everybody ate. And he goes, "Roll it again." And I rolled another one, and I rolled another nat 20, and I killed my entire party.
Oh my God.
Oh,
That would
good.
be glorious. Yeah.
It was. But they learned not to, they learned.
Drake, what about you?
Well, I went to the Unity Alpha party, and there was this idiot running a game up there. No, I would have
Let's
to
get
say
him.
that's probably one of the coolest games doing that Alpha party. Just the environment, the people I was with, getting to meet all you guys. That was probably the best game I've been in.
Was it
Right
like in real life,
behind
or
it-
was it?
Right behind it, yeah, it was the Alpha party with everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know anything about it.
Oh, well.
Yeah,
You're out of the
Marbania
loop.
and Drake and Dave and I were all there. It was in Florida last August.
Yeah, it was,
The runner-up was
awesome.
the Airbnb later with Babunski, Rob, Marbania, and Zacchaeus.
Zacchaeus, yeah, Zacchaeus stopped by.
That was
Zacchaeus.
so fun. Zacchaeus.
With his
Okay.
kilt. Yeah.
I wanted to go to that
Yeah.
so bad, but I just couldn't because I was playing chauffeur to 3 people, and it was just I was like, this is supposed to be relaxing time, and it just wasn't for me.
So the worst one for me was I got invited by some of my fellow in real life friends to go to a game at another person's house that I know but I've never gamed with, and they're like, "Oh," I talked to the DM. He's like, "Okay, just bring a 5th level character and blah blah blah." So I made up a 5th level character, and I show up, and there's like 14 people. There's like 2 tables set up.
I'm out.
Wow.
And the some of the players are playing like 12th and 13th level characters with like their entourage. In 2nd edition, you can have like henchmens, and your henchmens can have followers and da-da-da. So this is my entourage, and it was just a freaking nightmare. I'm playing a barbarian that doesn't like magic. Well, everybody has more magical items than you could like you could shake a stick at, and I'm like, oh, this isn't going over very well. And there's a drow hunter in the party. There's people trying to kill each other behind their back. There's like a assistant DM that's going around taking notes and passing notes around. I'm like, can I just jump off this boat? We were on a boat. I'm like, no, I just want to go home. It was pretty
Aw.
bad.
I have something similar like that. Marbanya, how about you?
I don't know if I get any one particular bad game because I just enjoy gaming. But there's something that happens from time to time, and all of us have experienced this when you're DMing a game and rules is written, rules is intended, rule of cool. Okay, rule of cool is okay every now and then. You throw that in there because it fits the situation. Rules as written doesn't really work well, whatever. So I made a judgment call, and we're going to go with this. And then you've got this guy or girl that steps in there. Well, that's not the way it's supposed to be. And then they commence to 15, 20, 30 minutes going back over the same damn thing. That's not the way it's supposed to be. That's not the way it's, it doesn't matter. And I've actually stopped streams before. Folks, you know what? We're done for tonight. We got to get some shit straightened out. So let's go raid somebody. Boom, we raid, we're gone. Now, I think that's probably happened to about every one of us who's DM'd a game. Is you've got that person that just gets, maybe they've had a bad day or something. As far as best days, we've already touched on the Unity launch party, and we were at the Airbnb. Babunski is DMing the game, and I've got this Tabaxi monk assassin that I modeled my Descent into Avernus character because it was a one-shot, right? So we've got these dice that we went to the game shop that day. Babunski looks at these dice, and they're like ice blue with white letters on or white numbers on them. Just beautiful dice. And he looks at them, he's like, oh, I don't need any more dice. And I thought, boy, I like them. And I grabbed them and I bought them. So we work our way through Babunski's little one-shot he's put together. What was it? It was the Caverns of Soj.
Kilimanjaro.
Yeah,
or
that one.
Dave
Sojkan.
probably knows.
Southlands. Yeah, TSAO. Yeah, Southlands.
But so we get to the big bad guy at the end of it, and Babunski's getting ready to just rip us a new asshole, and I missed. He stepped in behind it, rolled a critical, hit this thing, and he's using these crit tables, and he's like, okay, roll on the crit table. So it was a D100 for that, and I roll, and Drake goes, double odds or triple odds, and I rolled them and rolled triple odds and one-shotted his.
That was insane. We were laughing so hard. Oh my god.
But yeah, so that was probably the best gaming moment that I've had as a player.
No, that's awesome, especially when you do that, exact roll as what you're saying under your breath. What if this really happens when I roll the dice?
Drake called it.
That's amazing. I've had a couple. Oh, except for when you roll up a fighter in 2nd edition, and then every character you see at the table says 18-100 strength. You're like, this is absolute bullcrap right there.
It's all random.
What about you, Remedies? Worst experience?
I am notoriously a really bad dice roller. I always roll really poorly, and I'm almost always the dungeon master, game master. So my players really like it because I never hit them, etc., etc. And so one day I got really, really pissed off. They were in this cave hunting this cultist that was trying to summon some sort of Hydra monster. There was Hydra, everything there. And I got really pissed off because they make it all the way to the end of this cave, haven't taken an ounce of damage. They're just easy breezy through the whole thing. And so I had at the end, I just fudged everything, and I was like, well, they summoned the Hydra, and instead of one Hydra, I put in 4 because I was like, if I have 4, I'll have more chances of hitting my players. But what I didn't know was I had forgotten that one of my players was holding on to one card from the deck of many things, and it was the card that would let them do a wish spell. So she used it. She had been holding on to this for months. I mean, months and months and months. She used it to wish that Hydras didn't exist anymore, and I let her have it, and I was like, okay, there's no Hydras anymore. But yeah, that was for me the worst experience because I could never make it challenging enough for them. They just breeze through and then win with a wish, basically.
I would do that on nights that I was rolling bad. I would go to, usually I do all my rolls open, but that night I went to GM rolls and they're like, "What's wrong, Dave? You never use the tower." And I'm like, "Well, this hits. And they're like, "I bet you're rolling,
Exactly.
you're rolling bad." And I was like, "No," but
Yeah. Yep. And then I would have to say my best player experience, I was in a game on a friend's stream, and they were playing, I want to say it was Savage Worlds. I can't remember. It was like a year and a half ago. And my character had this really cool power where he could like pull anything out of his backpack and it would just be there, but you could only use it like once a day. And we were fighting some bad guys, and we figured out that they were all vulnerable to fire. So I was like, oh, my character has a flamethrower, and like whip out a flamethrower out of my backpack. So that was really cool, especially for me because I'm so rarely a player. I was really excited I got to do something so badass.
the old Ghostbusters flamethrower.
Yes.
Rob, I think we heard your worst experience, and well, your first experience. I don't know if that's
my
your
first
worst,
experience was my worst experience. Yeah, but I do have another one to tell. That Dave, you were involved with this. In April or March or April of 17, Tales of the Yawning Portal came out.
First
and
session.
we put, huh?
It was the very first session too.
Yeah, and so we put together this game, and we were super excited about it. We promoted it. There were 7 people involved because there's 7 modules, and each person was going to DM a module. And we got Mr. Doug Davison to be not only a player in the campaign before he quit, but he was the first DM. And so everybody on my channel was excited. People were excited, and we were playing. And I remember the date, and because the date will come important, and you'll understand why I remember the date in just a second. But May 10th of 2017, we start playing, and it's going really good. And then about an hour into the game, I start to feel kind of ill, and I'm like, "Oh, not today!" I don't know what the hell. So about an hour in, I tell the players, I have to step away. I have to go crawl in bed. I mean, I'll be on my phone, and I took my phone with me, and I just let the stream go. I just left the stream on, and I went and climbed in my bed with my phone, and then probably even about halfway through the game, I had to completely quit. I had to just not play anymore because I was really sick, and I didn't know why I was sick. So then that ends me, and this is all on YouTube, by the way. You can see this on YouTube. So then what ends up happening is about 3 a.m, I had to call the ambulance. I went to the hospital. I had a heart attack in the ambulance because I was trying to die. My heart's fine. I don't have heart problems. I had 106 fever, and I had given myself sepsis, and I was in the hospital for 6 days. The end of the story is Doug Davison goes on Stream of Many Eyes a few weeks later, and he says to the person interviewing him, "Oh, I don't give my players inspiration unless they go to the hospital."
Yeah, that was.
Oh my god!
The point of that story, and Dave was there for all that. The point of that story is Doug Davison tried to fucking kill me in a D&D game in real life.
Literally.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
So that's like a 6-day stream on YouTube?
Well, I mean, eventually it ran out, and then when I uploaded it to YouTube, I cut it off at the end of the game. But that stream ended up running well past the game into the night. But then when I woke up in the night to go to the hospital, I think I pushed stop or whatever. Well, I was waiting for the ambulance.
Well, I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember in a couple sessions or the next session, you said, "How do I get some inspiration around here?"
Yeah.
Doug was pretty stingy with inspiration.
Because what was funny was I was in the hospital
Tickle corn.
for 6 days, and then they released me, and I came home on the day of the next game, 7 days later. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
So yeah, I've had a lot of bad things in D&D and a lot of good things as well, but that's very memorable because I I literally almost died.
Oh man, I remember that night. I was like, something is not right. Me and Chris kept saying something's not going on here. Something's not kosher here.
Yeah.
Worm, what about you? Worst gaming experience
Worst gaming experience,
besides
I'd have to
Micro.
say, back in the day, I was GMing a Gamma World campaign, and I spent 2 weeks on it, making it gorgeous. Made this big old area with like 1,000,000 robots patrolling it and everything. And the idea is for them to like sneak in where there's not 100,000 robots, with blasters pointing right at you. And my group sits there and spends like an hour or something making their characters. They're all super jazzed and came up with backstories. And then the one guy that's your basic fighter mentality decides, let's get him! Just runs right. It's like, as a GM, I can't really let them come in the front. So basically, in like 10 minutes after the game started, everybody died in the party. So
Leroy Jenkins.
yeah, people weren't really excited about that. It's hard to get the after they spent it 2 hours making their characters, it's hard to get that back. So it kind of tainted that group for a while. So, but other than that, I usually have a pretty good time playing games.
What about, do you have a best experience?
Surely
Surely in
so
all
many,
of the decades you've been playing.
the decades from my day, we used to. I would say I remember playing the Giants module, back in the day, and that was probably my favorite modules. I think it was like, what is it, G1 through G3 or whatever that was. Yep. And I was a player, and we had actually brought my character from level 1 to ended up being 12 when we finally shut him down. He was like a paladin, and I remember being in a spot where the Giants are like chasing us and stuff, and we kind of convinced him. We're just like typical teenager. Oh, right behind us, people need you, and we're like running down the halls. It was then the GM's just like, whatever, I'll let it happen. And so like we escaped by tricking him. So I think those are the kinds of things that I enjoy the most, other than just like, I rolled a 20 and lopped his head off.
Yeah.
I like to do the old trick.
I remember G1, 2, 3 also, and especially if you started a character at 1 and you survived, that's pretty good. That's really impressive, especially at 1.
Yeah, I didn't know you could cheat back then, Dave.
Oh my god!
Because it was like the first time I had ever played Dungeons and Dragons, and so like everybody was sitting there watching each other. So I'm like, oh. And then later I found out that one guy that we played with, he'd roll like an 18 every time. We look at, dude, that's not an 8. I guess I misread that. So I didn't know that people cheated in D&D. I mean, my God, you're just kind of screwing yourself.
We never actually had, when I was a kid, anybody claim anyone else of cheating. Now that I look back at that, but
there was a guy that I played with in the army, and he wasn't a regular player, but he played a few times with us. And this is how he would roll. You won't be able to see it, but he would take his dice and he would go 20.
It's still making noise.
It's still bouncing on the table. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, and he would just fucking cheat like a fucking motherfucker. It was insane. And then he didn't last.
I bought a module as like $20 or something. This 4th edition, right? And I read through it. I read the beginning real good, and I read the end a little, and I kind of skimmed through the middle. And so I presented the scenario to the module is this princess got kidnapped, and she's being held captive, and you guys got to go to this complex and rescue her. So they're like, well, we're just going to dim fold to where she's at and take her and dim fold back. I just threw the module in the trash. I mean, they just dim folded to the end, got her, and dim folded out. Oh, and I think they got a never seen roll of like 25% or whatever, and they're all like elves, and they all aged like D10 years, like whoopee, right? I was like, just chucked it right in the trash.
What I thought you were going to say, Drake, is I thought you were going to say, I got this module where there was a princess that had to be rescued from a complex, and then you were going to go, dun 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 dun. It's Mario Brothers, yeah. That's what I thought you were going to say.
A bunch of plumbers.
If you guys remember last month where we left off, I was going to tell you my Gary story.
Yes, let's hear it.
Well, that's actually one of my best, but I'll tell that afterwards. But I haven't forgotten. But besides running one shots with absolute strangers that I had no clue and had to beg them to play, besides that being my worst experience, I would say I ran a Pathfinder First Edition game, and this is probably back in 2014, 2015, and it was a starter box set. And everything that was in the starter box set, which was actually a great adventure, I look back and I'm like, wow, this is actually really good. Well, two things happened. The first was my players, the first part of the adventure was good, and then it just turned into an absolute train wreck, where after we finished the box set, we went into Revenge of the Kobold King, which is their first release module, and I had this guy named Gimli, and he was an older gentleman. He was a Vietnam veteran. He didn't have his legs. He was in a wheelchair, and he played D&D and had fun, and he role played his character to the fullest nonstop, and everybody did not like that. And his attack was Reaping Strike. I mean, he could do any attack, and it's Reaping Strike. That's what he used to say. And I loved him for that, and I would have him in my games because he would always play a dwarf. He had the best, stereotypical dwarf voice, but everybody in the party didn't like him. So Gimli, we were playing Revenge of the Kobold King, and he goes down this hall because he saw, this shape, sort of like a shape of like a suit of armor walking down the hall. It was a gelatinous cube, but he saw all this jewelry and jewels and gold floating in the hallway, and he just goes right down, and then the party just gets tore up. They were all like level 1 and they all died, and then all of a sudden the game turned into, and I'm not joking, these guys were wanting to find out where they lived, and they wanted to kill each other basically. And that was like Marbanya talked about, one of the times where that was like the only time I ever stopped. Well, I did it a couple other times for rule debating and stuff, and I hate that in a game. I always like to take care of it afterwards. But
Dave, you're a master debater, so we really appreciate that.
Thanks, Worm. I just stopped the game and I said, guys, this game is over. I said, I can't believe you guys are acting like a bunch of effing 2-year-olds. And so they all got mad. They started cussing at me, and so that was my worst experience as a DM. But I kept Gimli was just awesome.
Did you ever have a game with that group again?
No, Gimli was in one of my next games, and everybody loved him. But for some reason, these guys just didn't like Gimli. And when he ran in to the gelatinous cube, which was vicious at their level, they just didn't like it. And they were literally, I think this video is still on my channel, but it's the Pathfinder game, and it's like the very last part, and they were cussing at each other, and I'm going to kick your ass, I'm going to find out where you are. And I was like,
oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was one of those games that I just said, that's it, we're done. Thanks for playing. But the best thing, and this goes to my Gary story, was when I was a kid, we had myself and James and Terry Franklin and Gary. And Gary was sort of like a part-time player because he would just play during the summer, and he would always make the game miserable for us because he played a goddamn half-orc assassin. And and I hated it. It's not that I didn't hate it, but I just hated it. He would take stuff from one character and put it on another character, and then start rousing me up or rousing Franklin up, or if we're in a city or a town, he gets the whole town on us because he's like doing all this bull crap behind the scene, and yeah, it was just a train wreck. So my friend and I, Franklin, we talked about, man, when he comes down the whole year in school, we were probably in probably 5th grade, 6th grade at this time. We said, dude, when Gary comes on this year, we aren't messing with it. We're just going to kill his character. And we were probably a little bit older. We were probably 16 or 17. And we were in Undermountain. And Undermountain, not Dungeon of the Mad Mage, but Undermountain was relentless. The box set, the original box set. I think that's where your background comes from. Is that the background for Undermountain? Paulette? I think that might be the Undermountain background, maybe? Yeah, but anyway, it looks so familiar.
She says no. We can't hear her, but she says no.
Yeah, all right. So, when Gary came down for the summer, I mean, it was something that we talked about every day, just about in class. And so when Gary came down, Gary was like, he was like, the tough guy, and now he started smoking and stuff, and so he was like, all right, guys, we were playing, and I was just miserable, and he all of a sudden just magically appears in the middle of Undermountain, and I'm like, well, that would just works out perfect, doesn't it? And, so we got to a stop. We had just ran from some Githyanki, and we found one of our treasure rooms that we wanted to stop in and rest. So he's like, all right, guys, I'm going to go out and smoke a cigarette, and I'll be back. And me and Franklin said, this is it right here. And we didn't even tell him. We just went right to our DM, James. And he said, yeah, I'm just going to kind of rest in the doorway. And I was like, whoa, this is even better yet. Because my friend Franklin casts Hold Person on him, and I cast Barrier, which at the time was called Blade Barrier, and then for some reason they changed it to Barrier, which is like a spinning vortex of blades. And yeah, I cast that, and our DM said, no, you guys don't do that. We were like, yeah, we do that, because we had a rule at our table saying, you do what you say, and that's what we did. And he was outside, and his, everything was perfect, and Blade Barrier on a character that has Hold Person on him just doesn't work out too good. So he was basically chopped liver when he came back in, and he said, Dave and Gary, you guys, he says, Dave and Franklin, you two guys are a couple of Fs. And so he called us fags. And he says, I'm out of here, man. He goes, you guys are dicks and everything else. And my DM, James, said, well, that's it. You guys just ruined the game. Thanks for ruining our 10-year game we had going. And it was just so funny. And I remember, because Gary rode his bike. And so me and Franklin were out on the porch just thinking, man, this is going to be so much better. And when Gary got on his bike, he was riding down the sidewalk, and he went past where we were at on the porch, and he flicked us off, and he goes, F you fags, like that. It was so funny.
It doesn't seem right to me that a guy who smokes cigarettes is also riding a bicycle. That just that doesn't go together for me. Like, he thought he was so cool on his Schwinn 10-speed.
Had the card in there.
Yeah.
Sounded like a motorbike.
There's a Marlboro box in the spokes.
Yeah.
Marlboro box in the spokes.
Yeah, right. It was awesome, man. He had a cigarette behind his ear the whole game and stuff, and we were just loving it. And literally, that was pretty much the last time we played, because our DM was just pissed off.
Because you ruined the damn game.
we ruined the game. Yeah, that's exactly it.
You and your friend were like delightfully pleased forever and ever. I love it.
Oh yeah, it was awesome. So that was my best story. So we got a couple more minutes. We'll take a couple of questions if anybody has any in the audience. So feel free to ask him, and yeah, we'll go from there. But once again, I'd like to welcome Remedies to the network, and it's good to have some more diversity in the in the stream team. I'm glad I'm not getting
Thank you
any
so much.
cease and desist letters and
Yeah.
contacted by
Girl,
lawyers and
Look, when I said that, I said it jokingly,
I
but
know
I have
you
a
did.
feeling I'm never going to live this down.
No, you're all right. You're all right. Hey, it's like I said. I'm like, well, where are women that play? They just hardly exist. And especially when I was a kid, and I'm sure you guys will probably confirm this as well. Girls didn't play D&D, man. That was like that was.
Yes, we did.
You were a total dork. Well, you're the exception.
That's the story I tell is when people talk about diversity in gaming, I'm like, listen, when we were in high school, we begged women to play in our games. They wouldn't come anywhere near us.
Yeah, they were like, ew, get away from us, dorks.
I'm still begging women.
This was a trivia question. I had put a trivia question online about who in the Tabletop network has been playing the longest. And yeah, Remedies, since you're new and you don't know the answer, who do you think it is out of and the person's in the room right now?
Oh, that's rough because not everybody starts when they're little kids. Not everybody starts in high. Some people are younger or older. Oh my gosh.
There's nobody younger here, so we're all older.
What? Could you speak up there? I hear what you said there, Barbara.
I'm gonna go with Rob.
Bum, bum,
No.
ba-bum.
No, it's not me. Because I started when I was 15, so some people started when they were like in third grade and stuff.
I started when I was
We
8.
had to actually go down to not by age, but by
Penis
I know
size.
month he started.
Oh my
And
god.
I beat him by a couple months.
Dang.
I've actually been playing the longest.
Oh, am I
Yes.
second though?
But he's older than me.
I started in '82.
I started
Same
in
thing.
I started in
in
September.
82.
I started in September of '81.
I started
Wow.
in May of '81.
I'm in last place. I'm 84.
Well, maybe I started in '96, but I was 8
God
years
damn
old.
it.
Oh my God, 96.
I wish I was.
You guys-
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know this, but Robin's only 12. She's only 12.
I'm not 12. I know I sound like a 12-year-old, but no, I'm 32. And yeah, I started playing when I was 8. My brothers taught me. I have 3 brothers, so like I was naturally going to be into all the dude things. Okay, I shouldn't say that, but yes, yeah.
We got a question from Murder Hobo Show, which, his question is Rob drinking out of a flower vase? He said,
No, I
"Holy
already
shit,
answered-
that is a big cup."
I already answered. It's just the plastic cup. It's as big as my head.
But that doesn't mean much. It just means you have a very tiny head. Cup's normal size.
Nah, thank God that's not where I thought you were going.
I'm pinching your head.
DMJ.
Here is a 20-sided die, and here is the cup.
That's a good. Yeah, there you go.
Rob's like, I only get water once a day, so I just gotta.
Here is a 20-sided die, and my other head. Oh no, I'm just kidding. That's not going to happen. That's where I thought Worm was going.
Your scrotum? You were going to do your scrotum again?
No, my.
I thought that was that other broadcast that you only invite people to.
Yeah, that's subscribers only.
Yeah, the D&D naked.
The old crotch cam. What's the best way to join the stream team? That's from GMJs. And right now we have a total of 9 channels. I wanted to get it to 10. I've got feelers out there for another channel to bring it up to 10. But then after that, it would just be on a invitation only, kind of with everybody's input in the network. So as we started this, started talking about it, that was one thing that I wanted to do was to keep it at a low level of channels, just because I just don't want 100 channels. And I get questions, I get asked every week, how do I join? But, just
As a
having
player.
Yeah, just having, a smaller amount makes everything much more manageable, like events like this where we have a round table, run or one shots that we're going to do and stuff like that. So, yeah. So we'll keep it at 10 and then we'll see because I have a couple feelers out already and we'll see after that and expand it maybe or maybe not because it's just harder to do when you have more than 10 people. You're keeping games, track of their games, what they've got going on and stuff like that, and plus
Yeah, you need
streaming
10
over
for the
one another and stuff like that. So yeah,
Secret Santa, you need 10. Got to have an even number, Dave, or somebody gets screwed.
gotta have an even number.
For Secret Santa?
Mathos Cell Talk said DM the game for Bella for a game or two. Oh, aka Taco.
Yes.
Alright.
And okay, so I didn't tell my favorite game story, and actually, Taco, it was DM for that one. We got to save Santa Claus.
Oh, that's awesome.
And our gift from Santa, we were able to, completely take care of all loose ends of all of our in the game. It was great. So,
Well, my grandkids thank you, and my wallet despises you.
Yeah.
At least it wasn't a deck of many things.
Ugh, screw that.
Speaking of the deck of many things, my Rise of Tiamat game was almost ruined because of that deck of many things. Worm, you remember, and Worm was the luckiest SOB and drew the 50,000 experience card. He drew the wish card. And he goes, I'm not pulling any more cards. And
I said,
they and everybody. Yeah.
Everybody else, they're addicted. They're like, I want to do it again. I want to do it again.
Yeah. Misty lost all of her items. They was stuck in the, she was in the elemental chaos. You guys had a Balor chase. Oh, it was and you used that wish card to wish everything back to normal. That was unbelievable.
I'm never giving out the deck of many things ever again. I learned my lesson.
I did it as a Christmas gift to the group because usually I would give out Christmas gifts to my players, and I thought they were just going to cash in and sell it for 10, 20,000 gold, but no, they were. Dude, as soon as I introduced it, the adventure was just railroaded to let's set up camp and let's just start pulling cards.
Awesome.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah,
It was
yeah, that was fun, but it was a train wreck. And I thank you as a DM for using your wish. Even though wish didn't do anything like that, I was like, this is my opportunity to make a DM judgment call and say, yes, let's go back to make everything be regular, normal before we started. So
Should do the deck of many things like hearts, and you can just pass left.
oh, that's a good idea.
See ya.
That would be a great one shot. That's a good one shot idea. So all right, we'll kind of wrap things up. What do you guys have for a topic as Rob is sloshing his hand sanitizer all over himself, just lathering his body down with it?
I don't use hand sanitizer that much because of my immunosuppression, but I just am doing this. I'm just fidgeting is all I'm doing.
Oh, I thought it was lotion, and we didn't want to know why.
I do have air.
Somebody had a question in chat. What's the favorite game system?
How about we do that for
covered that already.
next month? Did we do that?
Yeah, we did it last time, I think.
Oh, yeah. Why don't you guys got any ideas? Have any ideas for next month's roundtable topic?
Favorite module?
Favorite module. That's exactly what I was going to say. Favorite
No,
module and why.
That sounds good. Let's do that next month. What is our favorite module? How about what is our favorite and not our favorite modules for next month?
Yes, and why, and why.
And why? Yeah, that sounds good. All right.
Yeah.
It's about this princess that had to get rescued, so I've already told that.
Dun, 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 dun,
Dun.
dun, dun,
Bum,
dun,
bum,
dun,
bum.
dun, 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 dun.
And
that was
it's stuck in my head. It's bad enough I've had circus music all day.
Oh, you're
don't wanna
welcome.
Why do you have circus music? Is it just
Looking
what
up
plays
things,
you guys play over there?
no, looking up things for Dave's channel.
Oh, I thought for sure. It's just I don't know why. Every time I try to do something, dun 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 dun. Dun.
What do I look like, a clown? I love it. All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. That is our hour. And thanks, everybody, for hanging out. Please feel free to leave any comments in the comments section on the YouTube video, and we'll chime in and answer your questions, and I'll try to answer them as best as I can. And if not, I'll let the other guys and gals. Now that I can say gals, not gal. So, all right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you next month, first Monday of the month. And everybody have a great week of gaming. Have a good month of gaming. Stay safe out there. Use your hand sanitizer like Rob. And we'll see you next month. I love it. All right, everybody. Have a great one. See you next month. Bye, everybody.